Dr. Drive coming right back at you in another one of our shop talk videos. Today we're looking at some John Deere 332. All right, these are very popular drives out there. I don't mean to say everybody's got one, but if you've got one, you got two. I know that's for sure. But we want to show you some of the things that we run into, some of the things that we do in repairing, remanufacturing these drives for you, and some of the things that you may be able to see. Everybody's always curious when you're taking your drive out of your deal. You know, it's like, can I fix it? Well, the easy answer is yes and no. Okay, so that's life. That's just the way it is. But we'll show you some things that we've gotten, see what some of the damage is that happens to these things. Okay, so like I said, very popular, all kinds of things into it. So this happens to be nice dirty hydraulic side. This is where our distributor is going into, and is going to be on our rotating group, and that's where all the hydraulic power is made. Not too often are they really bad damage. The worst part of all of them, and you'll probably already know this, is that on all these things and all these bolts, these are our worst enemies, is all the bolts and trying to get them out. Sometimes you have to completely torch them to get them out and that kind of stuff. We've got all kinds of bolts broken in these things and stuff like that that we've got to reclaim. What happens, the biggest thing is when we have a Planetary gear failure. All right, and when it does that, chances are it has wiped out everything in the Planetary site. What happened? I don't know. It never changed the oil, face seal leak. Now we don't have any oil. Well, you know how long it takes. It doesn't take long for that to get our damage. If we look here, I'm looking at damage coming right into this seal area where it's just been eaten up metal to metal. When I look at here, the ring gear, I want to call this the ring gear, and total catastrophic failure. As far as we're concerned, there is no way of fixing this. You're not going to repair this. You're not going to weld it up and redo the gears and everything else on that. So there's none of that. Just if you were just out of curiosity here, back to the same hydraulic unit, we had the guys split this open. So here's our distributor, and it's fitting inside this main housing. And of course, we've got all of our little seals in there, but that's just kind of a cutaway of what your hydraulic side looks like, and that's your distributor, half of it, and that we're pushing out. Now, getting over into some of the meat and potatoes part of it, these drives have, I want to show you this. This is a locking nut on the main bearings. We usually don't have a survivable locking nut. When this nut is installed on the drive, I have pins. Once the nut was installed and torqued down to correct heel, pins are driven in at least 2, if not 3 places, and then that nut, and it destroys the threads that are inside the nut when it does that, but it's made to never ever come apart again. Okay, so in our method out there, Joe has talked about it. We're going to cut this ring. We are actually going to torch and cut this ring. Trust me, we've done it 100 different ways and none of them work. So we're going to cut this ring, and then that releases it, and then we can take it apart. Now, looking at some of our failure, I had a good spot. Where have I done? I've turned it all around now. I guess this is probably as good. This is the inner race of a main bearing. And if you look and see, here's my top shoulder, but here I come down and I've got a whole piece missing. Sometimes you only see about 1/2 of them. This one's had some, well, no it hadn't. I was gonna say survivability, but only pieces of it survived. The rest of it, see, is just totally wiped out. And when we come up here, our top gears, some of our top production gears, are fitting on this drive in that type of a manner. Well, these fail completely also. And on these bosses where they run, just total failure in there. That's just metal to metal, and it's been that way for an awful long time. We work on that. we work on this. In here, when this thing has failed, inside here's where my face seal, I gotta be really careful with my fingers. Inside here's where my face seal is. Again, bearings and everything else just chewed that up. Just an example, so just kind of what your drive shaft looks like. And all your brake pack and everything else is sitting up here on this one. And this shaft is going in this direction on the deal. So just get an idea of what your shaft and bearing look like. Now here's one that we've been working on. And I'm very proud to say, this is a locking nut. Can you see just how nice that is? I tell you that's really good, because I've seen the ones where we've spent literally half a day or a day working on them, trying to unscrew them and trying to get them off, and it just doesn't work. So we learned a while back that all we really have to do is to make our own nuts. Problem solved. Now I can cut this one, take my brand new nut, put it on here, and torque that down, get that right. Here's where I'm going to be putting my lock pins back in there once we're done. And even on our brand new one, once we're done, we put our lock pins back in. That's it. Period, paragraph. You want that nut off, you're going to cut it off. We have restored these posts. These bearing posts have been restored, okay? So this one obviously was not, luckily, was not chewed up too awful bad. And they've got their restoration on there. And I don't know if they've done their final fit on it yet or not, but this is in the process. We had to clean up everything through here if it was necessary, build this up and turn it back down. Same thing with my face seal. If there was big damage in here, we're gonna build that up, we're gonna turn it back down. So this one is being reclaimed, all right? Like I was saying, on the outer, this is my inner hub, so on my outer hub, I don't think there's any silver bullets for that. So we've taken one great big piece of billet, if I'm calling it by the correct name, and then we're turning our own outer hubs, because you can't replane where the ring gear is, and then naturally where all of our snap ring goes. So that's our answer to the John Deere 332 family. Another thing I'd like to mention when we do these things, and well, maybe I don't hardly have to, but we do this stuff, we put this all back together, we're testing it on our test bench. We're trying to make sure that we have complete quality control, consistent everything there. And as a matter of fact, in our business, we test everything before it goes out the door. So I just want you to know that, if you're ever wondering. And you'll get drives and you'll see pin marks on them and all this kind of stuff, and you say, well, somebody's been here. Yeah, that's right. We've been there, okay? So just letting you know, hey, give us find us on the internet. It's TexasFinalDrive.com. So dig us up if you need us. That's all for today. We'll be back at you with some more videos.